Terrifier 2 is blowing up all over the internet right now, and doing exceptionally well in its limited theatrical release over the past month. The film has grossed over $6 million on a budget of only $250,000. In this video, I'd like to discuss some theories I have about the origin of Art the Clown, his sidekick, the little clown girl, and the drawings in the sketchbook of the father of the two protagonists in the film, Sienna and Jonathan. Before we get to the theory section of this video, it's important to give some background information on the character, so for anyone that's familiar with All Hallows Eve, feel free to skip to the second half of this video. Art the Clown first appeared in Damien Leone's horror anthology, All Hallows Eve. The film is made up of 3 different segments and a wraparound story, with the only connective tissue being the ominous and seemingly supernatural antagonist known only as Art the Clown. The first short in All Hallows Eve introduces the viewer to Art as he terrorizes and ultimately drugs and kidnaps a helpless woman waiting for a train on Halloween night. Eventually, she finds herself bound with ropes and surrounded by demonic-looking creatures in hooded robes. These beings seem to be performing a ritual of sorts, as they're shown removing an unborn child from another woman's womb and drinking the blood from a chalice. The segment ends with this figure, listed in the credits of the film as Satan, disrobing and presumably mounting the woman. Remember this face, as this character will become more important in the second half of the video. The next segment in the film concerns a woman who's moved into a new home, who then becomes terrorized by aliens one fateful night. What's interesting about this segment is what the woman mentions about her husband's artwork. This painting turns out to be none other than Art the Clown. The final segment in the film concerns a woman driving from Pennsylvania to New York that encounters Art the Clown at a gas station one night. This short shows what Art is truly capable of as he slashes, saws, and shoots his way through anyone that gets in his way. The film concludes with Art the Clown coming through the television screen and killing the 2 children from the wraparound segment, firmly cementing the idea that he has supernatural abilities. With all that in mind, let's move on to Terrifier 2. Terrifier 2 opens right where Terrifier 1 left off, with Art the Clown having been resurrected by an unknown force. There's been speculation online that Art's resurrection was from the little clown girl that he meets early on in the film, but more on that later. The film then shifts to a year later, where the viewer is introduced to Sienna and Jonathan, siblings who are grieving the death of their recently deceased father. Sienna is a high school student that's creating a Halloween costume based off of a character that her artist father created before he died. Midway through the film, after both Sienna and Jonathan encounter Art and the little clown girl, Jonathan shows a sketchbook to his sister that belonged to their father. This is where things get interesting. You see, Sienna and Jonathan's father had been having strange visions before he died, some of which he would go on to draw in his sketchbook. Sound familiar?
All he remembers is waking up from this terrible nightmare with this image in his head, and the next morning, there's this painting in the living room.
What's even more interesting is that the artist from All Hallows Eve and Sienna's little brother Jonathan share the same first name.
I didn't know John painted things like that.
I won't speculate as to whether or not the character from All Hallows Eve is the same person as Sienna and Jonathan's father, because I think it's a bit of a stretch, but what I will say is that whatever was happening to him is the same thing that happened to Sienna and Jonathan's dad.
He created this character for you. He gave you that sword right before he died. It's like he saw this coming.
As Jonathan flips through the pages, we see a sketch of the character their father created for Sienna holding a decapitated head. And this makes sense, given that by the end of the film, Sienna has basically turned into the warrior princess character that her father created for her, and goes on to decapitate Art the Clown. Except for the fact that it's not Art's head that she's holding in the drawing. So, while it's been speculated that Art's resurrection was caused by the little clown girl, I think something far more sinister and powerful is controlling things behind the scenes. And this is where things get really juicy. You see, Sienna and Jonathan's father didn't just draw sketches in a sketchbook, he kept newspaper clippings too.
I saw her today. This exact girl. Only she didn't look human. There's some kind of connection between her and the Miles County clown.
So, what's the connection? The newspaper article tells of the tragic, unsolved murder of 10-year-old Emily Crane. Emily disappeared from a local carnival one night, and her body was found soon after in a makeup trailer just outside of the carnival grounds. It's been speculated online that Emily was Art the Clown's first victim, which is a good theory, except that it doesn't explain why she would resurrect Art and help him kill people, and because it doesn't explain this. That's right, little Emily came from a family of well-respected circus performers, mimes, and similar talents. So what does it all mean? Well, my theory goes like this. Art the Clown came from a long line of circus performers and was, at one time, just a normal clown. Until one of his family members was killed, which caused him to have a psychotic break and become the deranged Art the Clown that we all know and love. The end. But wait, isn't that a little cliched? Plus, what does Satan have to do with all of this? Well, maybe Art didn't have a psychotic break. Maybe Art made a deal with the devil to do his bidding in exchange for bringing Emily back. And she did come back, but in true Faustian fashion, she came back different. And I honestly prefer this theory, not just because it's slightly more unique, but also because it explains so many things, like why Art kidnaps girls for Satan, who or what was behind his resurrection, and why he has supernatural abilities. Either way, I'm betting that Art the Clown and Emily Crane are related. There's just no way that the mention of her being from a family of circus performers, and specifically mimes, is a coincidence. Emily and Art are from the same family. Maybe she's Art's daughter, or maybe she's his sister. And this would actually be fitting considering the games they play together, and it would also fit into the sibling motif of all three films in the Terrifier franchise. Plus, it would explain why Emily looks like Art, with a similar outfit as him, and the same exact makeup. They even have the same glowing eyes. So those are my Terrifier 2 theories. Let me know what you think in the comments section. And thanks to everybody who watched this video. It's the first video I ever made, but I'm a huge horror and underground cinema fan, so I'd like to make more. If you have any suggestions for reviews, theories, or commentary videos, let me know in the comments section. And as for Terrifier 2, well, there's really only one question left to ask. Who the fuck is this guy?